Hello, hello. Welcome to Cage Talk with another episode. Today's special guest we have is a UFC pioneer. I mean, he's done it all. He's fought everyone. World Extreme Fighting lightweight champion, uh, Reality Super Fight lightweight champion, International Sport Combat Federation championship. I mean, there's a laundry list. There's actor, because you were in that 2006 drama indie film directed by Chris Fuller, which I saw, which is a pretty good film. It's called Lauren Case, right? Or Lauren Cass?
Yes, Lauren Cass.
Yes. We have no other than the legendary man himself, Dean Thomas. How you doing, buddy? It was a hell of an entrance, huh?
Well, yeah, with an intro like that, I need a round of applause. Man, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's cool to be here.
Oh, thank you again for taking some time out. Again, like I said, I wouldn't even call you a UFC veteran. It's a pioneer because you've been in this fight game for such a long time. I mean, you fought, top competition, great fighters. I mean, you had Jens Pulver off the top of my head, Matt Serra, Clay Guida, BJ Penn, Carl Uno, Kenny Florian, Josh. I mean, the list goes on how many people you actually fought. And again, I'm stoked. I'm a big fan of yours. Loved you since watching you in the very beginning when I think your UFC debut was UFC 32, correct?
Yeah, it was.
Ooh, BJ Penn.
Yeah, I mean that was 20 years ago. I mean, it's crazy to think about. Like as you name these things off, I'm thinking, how old am I? God, and it's the real funny thing is that just yesterday I was talking to Eve Edwards, and we were talking about how like a lot of people today don't even realize that me and him have fought before. You know, they don't realize that. They think that we're just like
really close buddies,
or not even. Well, no, they just think that we're just like personalities in the game or coaches in the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm just like Chris Collinsworth on ESPN. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't realize that like I had a legit career prior to doing what I'm doing now. But to hear you talk about it, it's like it brings back all these old memories. It's great.
Hey, man, it's awesome, and we can obviously go into that whole career because I mean, again, you had a stellar career, loved everything, loved all your fights and stuff, regardless, And again, me and you have a little bit of similarities. Okay, you grew up, in Delaware. I grew up in Jersey. Well, you were born in Delaware, correct?
Right, I was born in Delaware.
Yeah, and then you left when you were like 12 to
13 to
13
Florida.
St. Lucie, Florida, right?
Port St. Lucie. Yes.
Port St. Lucie. Okay. See, look, I grew up in Jersey, left when I was 10, and moved to Miami, Florida. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. You were in like all the cooler places.
Well, the crazy thing is like Miami and Port St. Lucie are like completely different worlds. Same state, different. I mean, I would rather be in Port St. Lucie than Miami. Miami, it's like its own. Oh my Lord, Miami is just.
Oh really?
Oh my God, yeah.
Well, I do recognize that. I mean, as growing up, we always were like intimidated and envied Miami. It was like such a big, crazy place. But Port St. Lucie is a small town. Delaware is a small. I grew up in small towns.
Yep.
But molded me into who I am today.
Exactly. And talking about molding you into who you were today, I mean, there was an incident, I believe it was in Port St. Lucie, that almost got you almost steering you into fighting, into jiu-jitsu. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Kind of?
Yeah.
If you know what the incident I'm talking about. If you don't want to talk about it, that's cool.
No, listen, I want to talk about everything. I'm never ashamed to talk about anything.
There we go, man. So can you explain that little situation? I believe it was with an ex-girlfriend and you went to the boyfriend's house, all that good stuff. And how
Yes. So I mean, it's crazy because like this was about the time where like I was starting to get interested in fighting too.
Okay, perfect.
But there was no opportunities to fight. I was just a big fan of the sport. But yeah, like so my ex-girlfriend started seeing another guy, and when you're 17 years old, like that's like not something that you really take lightly. Definitely. And then so I went over to her house and he was there, and I wanted her to I wanted to talk to her, and he came to the window and he shut the blinds on me, and I was like, oh yeah. I mean, it was just like, I was like, what? So then I waited for him to come outside. He came outside, and I ended up busting him in the head with a wrench.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then after that,
so then after that, well, listen, I did my time. Okay, I served my 50 week. I did 50 weekends in jail for that.
okay.
But then that just kind of said, you know what, like, and I was a small guy too, so like I was like, you know, I should probably learn how to fight for real.
There you go.
And I was just so intrigued by Hoist Gracie at the time because he was beating up all these bigger guys. So it just, when I saw it, I was just like, you know, I'm learning this. I got to figure out how to do this stuff. If I have to move to Brazil, I'll do that. But I'm learning this.
Definitely. And
That's
then
how it started.
then the rest is history, man. The rest is history. Like I said, we all have things that we've done, but again, they mold us to who we are as people in the future. So, I mean, unfortunately, that happened. But again, I mean, who would ever thought? You know, look at you now, UFC pioneer. You made your first UFC debut, UFC 32. I think we just passed UFC 251. Okay, I'm not trying to make it sound like you're like an old timer. I'm just letting you know UFC 51. All right, so you go in fighting BJ Penn. Now, how was that? You know, that whole experience, your first fight, your first debut for UFC.
Well, the reality is when I first got the opportunity to fight in the UFC, I turned it down. They actually asked me to fight Jens Pulver months before, and in December, and I turned it down because I wanted to fight in Hawaii because UFC wasn't what it is today. So it was like, you know, it was just another organization, and I was, you know, kind of a bigger name, so I had my choice of where I wanted to fight.
Okay.
So then eventually, after I fought in Hawaii, I said, you know what, I'm gonna try this I'm gonna go to UFC, see what's up. And I was supposed to fight Genki Sudo.
Okay. I remember him.
And then 3 weeks before the fight, he got hurt. And then they said, all right, well, Genki's hurt. We got this other kid, BJ. You want to fight him? I was like, I don't care who it is. Just, you know, let's make it happen. And then, so, you know, I'm getting ready for a jiu-jitsu guy because all you know about BJ at the time was he had won the world championships, first American to win the world championships in Brazil. So I'm preparing for a jiu-jitsu guy. Fight happens, go out to the fight. I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling good too, boy. I'm like, man, I'm going to knock his head off. And next thing I know, I'm waking up. I'm waking up in the ambulance, headed to the hospital. And I said, man, what happened? And the doctor was like, what month is it? I was like, it's March. It was June. Yeah. So, I mean, it was a crazy experience. And, you know, I from that happening, like, people don't understand, like, I can joke about it now, laugh about it now. But when that happens, I mean, it's like being robbed. It's like being stabbed and robbed. Because, you know, you put so much, you put so much into, you know, winning and a craft, and you train hard and you lose and get knocked out on TV. It's like embarrassing, and you feel, and, you know, you're just like, everybody feels sorry for you and you feel sorry for yourself. I mean, it's bad. Like, so I went through like some depression for a couple of months. I mean, but then after that, I bounced back, came right back.
You went to UFC 33, defeating Fabiano.
Yeah. So well, what I did was I actually went to LA to train for the first time. I was like, this is the first time I like left to train somewhere else. I went to LA to train with Rico Ciparelli and Frank Trigg and these guys. And on the day I was supposed to come back from that trip and training was September 11th.
Oh my Lord.
2001. I'm at the LA airport, LAX, and I look up at the screen and I just see planes flying into the thing. And it was like, what's going on? And I was like, well, let me catch my flight. Next thing I know, the whole airport shut down. It was chaos. I was at the LA airport when that happened. And then I had to stay in LA for another week, man. It was terrible.
That's crazy. I was in 5th grade when that
I was training for Uno.
There you go, Carl Uno. Yeah. Again.
No, actually, that was actually Fabiano. Yeah, I was training for Ehud.
Yeah, and then that was a really good battle too. And again, you know, like you were saying, like, it's very hard. A lot of people don't realize, you know, after a loss, how it can affect your mental psyche and stuff. And it does suck, man. You're embarrassed and stuff. But imagine Ben Askren, all right? So they came out with the US. Remember what when George lit him up with the knee. Now they have him. They just came out with the UFC 4, the demo game, and they show even on like the replay in the game, they show him get kneed and knocked out. He's like, man, I think he like tweeted it or something. He's like, man, even like in the game, they show my knockout. He's like, he sees it everywhere. He's a highlight reel now, you know. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Ben because Ben deserves better. The problem is Ben kind of talked his way into this, you know, but he deserves better because I know how good Ben is, and Ben is insanely good at what he does. And I think that he just got to the UFC a little too late, and then just like unfortunate luck, like a flying knee. Because had George not hit that flying knee, it would have been a different fight. But and then he lost to Maya, which is a stylistic matchup, terrible matchup for him.
Yep.
But just, you know, Ben had some terrible luck. He got to the UFC too late, and I feel so bad for him for having to relive that moment over.
Definitely over and over again, man. It's something that's crazy, and like you said, like how you said, it's kind of embarrassing now. It's everyday thing. That's the first thing you can look up on YouTube. You put George, you'll see the flying knee. You put Ben Askren, you see the flying knee. So it sucks, man. It really does. And again, he came into his very first fight was Robbie Lawler. Was that the fight?
Yeah.
And I had Frank Trigg actually on the show, and we talked about it because, you know, he's a ref now, and we are just talking about different, like, I'm like, how would you see that? Did you see him go out? Was he out, or was, you know, did Robbie pop up back up after? And he said just the positioning of the way they ref and stuff, they intentionally put the arm in a place where someone's gonna snatch back or react to it. And he goes, again, that's only up to Herb Dean. I think it was Herb Dean who was the.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
He said it's only up to the ref at that moment to make that call. And again, who not to trust in Herb Dean? I mean, Herb Dean's an excellent ref. So again, we talked about that, and it was a good time. But again, that the instant replays, man, those flash knockouts, they tend to come back and haunt you, man.
Yeah, but you know, when you're in a compromising position, it's your responsibility to do a good enough job to let the ref know that you're okay and you're working your way out. I mean, when you're just kind of dangling there, it's you know, you're playing with fire.
Yeah, you are, and especially, I mean, he popped right back up. But again, it's hard to say. Some people, again, when what Frank Trigg was saying with Matt Hughes, the second fight. He said he saw his eyes go back and he was punching him and he slowed down because the ref didn't jump in. But then the next punch he landed, Matt Hughes just woke up again and he just went straight to wrestling. So
yeah, pop back up. Yep. That's how it is. This game changes quickly.
Yeah, man. It's like fighting a drunk person. You never knock them out. They come back. So talking about your career, man, like I said, you were in an independent film, okay? So I want you to explain to everyone, because it did come out in 2006. I saw it. It was a really good film. Now, what's the difference between filming and then obviously you were on Ultimate Fighter for the comeback and show filming? Can you explain the difference and maybe some of the similarities and what you took out? What are some of like the positive, feedback on filming just a movie in general? Because again, I'll never talk to a movie star, and here's an actor right here in front of me.
I've done a couple films. In fact, I'm working on. That's why I was talking to Eve Edwards yesterday, because we're working on a short film now. Okay. So I've done a couple of short films, and you know, that's something that I want to dabble in as well as I move on in my career. But they're completely different. Filming for reality is very boring and very contrived in terms of it's like very fake. So it's weird because it's supposed to be reality.
Yeah,
but it's very fake. It's like it's the farthest from reality. It's like, okay, we want you to be entertaining, but pretend the camera's not here, but be entertaining and just be phony and be fake. But to do a movie in terms of theatrics, the idea is to be real.
Mm,
So that's the difference.
gotcha.
And I guess that's kind of paradoxical because what's real is fake and what's fake
What's fake
is
real.
real. Yeah.
Yep.
So when you're shooting a movie, you want authenticity to it. When
Mm,
you're doing reality TV, they say it's supposed to be authentic, but it's really just like contrived.
mm.
I mean, there's no script or anything like that. So it's contrived. But I also do a lot of improv. So
Okay.
I do stage improv and stage acting as well. So um, doing reality TV is a little bit more similar to doing improv than actually filming a movie.
Gotcha. That's cool. And again, that's something I didn't really think about. Yeah, like, because I had someone on Survivor. He was season, I think, like 22 or something, Redemption Island, and he was a former football player. And he was like, man, he was like, it's just like, he's like, I wouldn't do it again. Like, I wouldn't do a TV show again. I was just like, oh, okay, and like his experience and stuff. But it's always interesting to hear, different people's perspectives on things and stuff like that. And while filming, um, was that your very first film that you did?
Yeah, the film Lauren Cass was the very first film that I did.
Okay.
That was a tremendous amount of fun. And that's when I realized, like, do I really want to be an actor? Because like it's such hard work, man. Like it's such hard work being an actor. People don't realize how hard work it is. I mean, it takes a lot of conditioning to do
Mm.
it. Like you just to be like on set and then have to get in the character and then be on set and be on set and be on set. And it's boring and long and
Repetitive.
hours again, it's repetitive and do it again. Give me a different angle. Give me a different, So it's not easy work. It's so when people are like, oh, I want to do movies. No, do you want to be famous or do you want to do movies? That's a big
Exactly.
difference. Doing movies is an art form and a talent, and you have to be conditioned for it. Being famous is just luck.
Yep. And again, that's pretty cool, man. And um, on the Ultimate Fighter, season 4, you fought, you defeated Mike Burnett, I believe, right?
Thank you, Burnett. Yeah,
Yep.
Mikey
And
Burnett.
then you
Yes.
lost to Chris Lytle after, and then you returned to the final, the season finale, and you beat Rich Clementi, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Um,
Yeah, it was a decent little run. Some might tell you that I beat Chris Lytle too, but the judges saw it a different way.
I'll talk to Chris Lytle. I actually had him on a couple days ago. I'll talk to Chris, and we'll get you both on, and maybe that'll be really cool to have you guys explain whose side and what side was right or wrong. You had
I'm not sure he ever heard me. I'm not sure he ever heard me say I thought I won, but
so you had a fight against Matt Serra, and it
Mhm.
was a little bit of a controversy. Can you explain what actually happened, just in case someone who's never watched that fight? I mean, if you haven't, go watch it right after watching this. But of course, go ahead.
So me and Matt, we fought in Atlantic City, and we had some like bad blood a little bit because of like our competitive natures. But so we had our fight, and one thing that happened was the lights turned off in the middle of the fight, which was like the weird experience where the lights just cut out inside the arena. Then they cut back on. We kept fighting, but so at the end of the fight, I'm sitting there, I'm feeling good because I thought I did, my job, like I did exactly what I trained to do. Then they start reading the scorecards, and it's a split decision, and I'm like, what? So eventually they announced him as the winner.
Yep.
And I'm distraught. Like I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. I walked out the cage, went to the back, out my head was down. 5 minutes of me walking back there, Dana White walks into the dressing room and goes, "Hey man, you won that fight." I'm like, "Yeah, man, I know. Thought I did too." And he's like, "No, you won. The judges got it messed up. You won the fight." I'm like, "For real?" And he was like, "Yeah. We had to go back and turn it." It's like we overturned
Um,
it. I was like,
that is that. I mean, again, it's nowadays you see a little bit more than usual, especially about split decisions and people winning when you feel like they never dominated the fight, or you just been like, what are the judges thinking and stuff. Do you have any anything to put your input on that? It's just, there's a couple fights. I mean, there was a fight, the Max Holloway fight, if you didn't see it. I mean, I think I
Yeah.
think Matt Holloway had I think he had enough just to eke out the victory, but again, judges didn't see it that way. What do you think?
there's a lot of things wrong with our sport. It's not a perfect sport.
Hmm.
Um, and it's still relatively new. So there's a lot of trial and error and making it up as we go along. I mean, even the NFL, there's like changing rules every so often. It's
Yeah.
like it's never going to be perfect. But MMA is still in its infancy stages, and I think one of the things that is very flawed with the sport is the way fights are scored, judged, and won or lost. Won or lost because it's very vague, and there's so many things involved with an MMA fight that you need to be an expert at it to actually be able to judge it properly and score it
Absolutely.
properly. And then the 10-point must system
I
does
heard.
not work for MMA. It
Yep.
just doesn't work. It's just too much involved.
Yep.
It works for boxing, and it was designed for boxing, but it doesn't work for MMA.
You know what? You're
And the
not.
fact that they even use it.
Yep. You're like. I mean, I think you're like the sixth fighter that I've talked to that does not agree with that point system at all. And again, it's true though. It doesn't make sense. And again, they made the same case that you're making right now. It works for boxing, but not for MMA.
There's just too many things involved.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they use it is a disgrace, kind of. And it's unfair to fighters who make money based on if they win or lose.
Yep.
I don't think you should make money based on whether you win or lose. I think you should get paid a flat fee regardless of whether you win or lose, because the win bonus is stupid, especially considering that you're being judged by three guys who don't know what they're doing, but based on criteria that's not very specific or
Exactly.
even apparent. So I think they need to change a lot of that moving forward. I mean, it may not ever happen, but I think it's eventually it will happen. I think fighters will just get paid flat fees, and I think that the scoring system needs to change.
Definitely. Definitely. That's something that's, again, look what happened with Max Holloway. Um, there's been a bunch, obviously, in the past. And, I mean, unfortunately, it still continues to happen. I think Joe Rogan roasted one of the judges because I think they weren't even paying attention to the fight at one point, and I think he was announcing the fight. The fight was going on, and he's like, "Look, you looking to the right. He's just looking down and stuff." And again, especially a championship fight like the Usman versus Masvidal, like those are 5 minute rounds. That's 25 minutes. I mean, that's a lot. That's a long time to actually pay attention, to see exactly what's happening. You know, and the fact that these judges, man, I think. I mean, I was talking to Frank Trigg about it, and like maybe to have like few like veteran fighters come in. I mean, it could be a little bit biased, but they know more than what the judges do. Like I don't know. It's something that they need to fix. They really do.
Yeah, I tell you what, I was in a show in Florida a
Okay.
couple of months ago, and the ref was in the back. I'm not gonna name names, but the
Yeah,
ref
of
was in
course.
the back giving the rules to the fighters, and then he was like, and so he was more like lecturing the fighters, which was like, what do you like? Why are you lecturing these guys? Like, why are you talking to them like they're like like
Like,
animals? So he's lecturing the guys, and he says, and you better not, if you don't like the decision, the judges. But and I said, by the way, who are the judges today? Anyway? Don't worry about who the judges are. I was like, it's pretty important.
yeah, very important.
It's pretty important because by knowing who the judges are, like you'll know some of them are maybe a little bit more biased towards certain
Exactly.
things. So like if they're more of a striking, if they come from a striking background, they're going to favor that over
Exactly.
grappling. So the fact that he was like, "Don't worry about who they are," was like, I was like, "Who are you? Why are you protecting somebody? Because
Yeah.
in case they make a mistake,
Mm-hmm.
it should be common knowledge. It should be common knowledge who the judges are." Yeah,
Exactly.
like in boxing, they'll tell you on TV who the judges
Yep.
are. And actually, they'll tell you who the
They
judges are.
announce them.
I was wondering, like, why won't you tell me who the judges are?
That's
Yeah, but
that's a little.
why wouldn't he tell me who the judges were? So I was like, so it's like there's some shady things going on.
It is. I
They
mean,
know they're flawed.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And let's hopefully in the near future. I mean, that could always be fixed. And I mean, we'll see what happens. Like you said, it's a very new sport. Yes, it grew super quick, very quick, one of the fastest growing sports. But again, it is still relatively new, you know. Um, like I said, we're talking about your career wise, right? What was one
Mm-hmm.
fight? I always ask this for a fighter. What was one of the fights that you remember to this day, like as you like one of your most memorable fight that you're like, oh man, you think about UFC or you think about fighting, that the name, the fight jumps to your head, and you're like, some good times.
Yeah, I'd have to say the Jeremy Stevens fight was pretty memorable for me because I remember for whatever reason I was like very nervous for that fight because he was an up and coming kid and he wasn't supposed to win anyway, you know. So it was like it's a lot of pressure on me. I'm like I got to fight this kid who's got nothing to lose. It's first time in the UFC,
Serious.
and time to fight this kid, and I was like really nervous. I was really nervous going into that fight. Then I ended up having a great performance, and then I won submission of the night, um, and it was just like and then they ended up playing my fight because it was like the first fight of the night, I think, or earlier on the card, and they ended up replaying it later on the pay-per-view portion of the card, and I just remember feeling like, man, wow, this is a good feeling. I made it.
That's awesome, man. And like I said, you're a pioneer to this sport. I mean, I always had fun watching your fights. Loved watching you perform. What are you doing now? What is Dean Thomas doing now?
I'm
You're coaching?
I'm coaching and I'm doing a lot of personality type stuff. I'm on the radio. I do a radio show, ESPN West Palm,
Okay.
um, coaching fighters, and then I'm doing, like I said, I'm doing improv and working on films like short films and things like that. So I'm just for to make a living, I coach. To live my life, I do a bunch of dumb things like improv and
Hey, the
and things that
improv is
just make
cool.
me
It's
happy.
hard. It's hard just to get up there and just on the spot, man. I give you credit for that. That is something um I don't like. I the closest to improv I think I might have done was this damn YouTube channel where like I filmed myself just talking, and it was the hardest thing because I was literally staring at myself talking to no one. So
Yeah, it's tough.
it's weird, man. It's weird.
Yeah, it's tough, but no, I try to. I just want to enjoy life, man. Like I'm so blessed to still be a part of MMA, considering how like you say I'm a pioneer, but like there's a lot of guys who came up before me, with me, and after me who are not relevant right now. And the fact that I'm still somewhat relevant in the game, it just I'm just blessed to still be involved in MMA. So I'm happy about it.
Definitely, man. Again, MMA fans love you. Everyone loves you, bro. Just keep doing your thing. Keep coaching. Pass on to others what you learn and what you have, and that's the only thing we could do, man. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
I do again.
That's my thing to be able to give back, because
Exactly.
because I'm blessed and I got help along the way here. I'm always willing to help the next man up. I'm always my saying is send the elevator back down. So once you make it up, send it back down. That's what I tell my fighters.
And again, I appreciate you coming on. It's been an honor just to sit down and just talk to you, and I appreciate you reaching out and talking to me as well.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
All right, Dean. Have a good one, buddy. All right.
Take it easy.